Morning folks and welcome back. This video is all about the gear I'm taking with me to Scotland next week. I'm going on a multi-day canoe trip with a load of other guys to raise money for the Alzeimer Society. All of my kit will be stored in waterproof canoe barrels or in dry bags. We're going to be out on big open water with potentially some challenging weather. So hopefully this way it will keep my kit dry in that weather, or if my barrels and bags end up in the loch if I capsize. Everything will be tethered to the canoe on lines, so if that does happen, it'll make it a lot easier just to rescue all my kit and pull it back into the canoe. I'm going to start with my main dry bag. This contains my tent, my sleeping kit, clothing, bits and pieces like that. Right, first thing out are my my camp shoes. I know they're not everybody's cup of tea, but actually Crocs are great on a canoe trip. They, you know, it doesn't matter if they get wet because there's nothing to kind of absorb water on them. They're just, you know, this sort of like rubbery stuff, and they dry out easily. They float, they're really light, and they offer enough protection just for padding about camp. I'm only taking 2 sets of footwear with me, these and my neoprene boots, which I'll be paddling in. Next out is a little bit gross. This is my pee bottle. I'll keep this in the tent with me so that if I need a pee in the middle of the night, I don't have to get up and get out of the tent, which is great when the weather's not good. Next out is my insulated jacket. You'll have seen this on lots of trips in the past if you've been watching for a while. This is a synthetic fill insulated jacket from Montaigne. It's the Prism jacket. It's really light and compact, great warmth to weight ratio. I absolutely love this thing. I'm taking this as my main warm coat. I will be taking this fleece that I'm wearing now, but this is really, you know, if things get chilly, this is what I'm going to put on to keep warm. I'll also be using this as my pillow because it zips away into its own pocket and makes a nice soft pillowy shape, and I'll use it as a cozy to keep my dehydrated meals warm while they rehydrate. I'm not taking much in the way of spare clothing on this trip. I'll have my paddling clothes, which I'll show you in a minute because they're packed separately. I've got the clothes that I'm wearing now, which are my basic camp clothes. So I've got a pair of Fjallraven trousers. I've got a fleece here, which is a wind blocker fleece from Rab. I don't think this is made anymore. I've had this for years and years, but I really like it. It's thin, it's packed down reasonably small, and it's warm. A t-shirt, underwear, and socks, which are a pair of sealskins dry socks. And the rest of my clothing fits in this bag here. This is one of the modular box pouches made by David Fryers. Excellent bags. In here I've got a merino wool base layer. This is made by Wool Power, Swedish company, and it's a sort of brushed terry weave on the inside. Really, really nice and warm, traps loads of air in. So that's my kind of like warm base layer. If it's cold at night, I may sleep in that, or I might just wear it underneath my paddling jacket. I've got some thick thermal long johns here. These are from Mountain Equipment, and they're a kind of micro grid fleece on the inside. Really nice and warm and comfortable. Again, I can sleep in these, or if my main camp trousers get wet, I can wear these while they're drying. I've got a t-shirt here, a secondary t-shirt. I've got obviously the one that I'm wearing now, and I've got another one here if that one gets wet. I've got a pair of shorts. It might be wishful thinking being in Scotland, but I'm going to take a pair just in case. I can swim in these as well if I do fancy having a swim, which I probably won't because the water's going to be freezing. I've got a spare pair of waterproof socks. So that's 2 pairs that I'm taking, the pair I'm wearing and these. I've got a merino wool buff. Just nice if it's really cold, I can put this on and it'll just keep those drafts off my neck. It also might be useful to help beef up my midge protection. Midges are going to be a big problem in Scotland, I'm sure. So hopefully this will just help seal my head net to my neck. I've got my good old woolly hat for chilly evenings and cold days. I've got a spare pair of underwear, obviously the pair that I'm wearing, and those, and that is it. So that is all of my clothing. This bag's got my waterproofs in. It's another one of David's box pouches. And these are just waterproofs for in camp. I've got separate waterproof clothing for paddling in, dry trousers and a dry top. These are just to protect my camp clothes if it's raining when we're in camp in the evening. So I've got a pair of waterproof trousers here from Montaigne. They pack down really small, which is why I've chosen them. And then I've got a lightweight waterproof coat, waterproof jacket from Rab. This is just one of their cheaper ones. You know, it's pretty basic. It's not as breathable as some of the others, but I don't need it to be. It's literally just a rain shell. Next out is my camp chair. This is a folding camp chair from One Tigress, very similar to the green one that you'll have seen me use in previous videos. This is new, yeah, it's compact, it's light, and they're comfortable. You know, important at the end of the day. You've been in the canoe all day long, you need somewhere comfortable to sit down and just relax in the evening. So that's the chair I'm taking. Next out is my sleeping mat. This is the one I use all the time. It's the Thermarest Neoware X-Therm. It's really comfortable, it's thick, it's about 2 inches thick, and I have a guaranteed good night's sleep on this thing, so that is what I'm taking. Sleeping bag wise, I'm taking my Mountain Hardware Lamina 35. This is good down to about 0 degrees, although I've had it even lower than that. I've had it down to about -2. I really like this bag, it's comfortable, and it's pretty compact. And finally, my tent. I have been going round and round in circles trying to decide which tent to take to Scotland. I thought I'd made my mind up, but I changed my mind. I was concerned about the weather, potential weather situation up in Scotland, and the tent I was originally going to take was a pitch inner first, which is no good if it's hammering it down with rain when you arrive at camp, because the inner will just get soaking wet. In the end, I just decided to get a new tent. I'd wanted one of these for a long time anyway, so I just bit the bullet and bought one. It's the Alux Hex Peak. It's the version 4, and it's great as a one-person tent. There's enough room for me to sleep in one half of it with a good bug net, essential for Scotland because of the midges. I need to have some sanctuary, some shelter away from those midges in order to be able to sleep. So having a complete mesh in a tent, so I'll get the airflow, but I'll be protected from those insects, was really important. And then the other half of the tent is storage, so I've got room to put my gear in there, camera gear and things especially that need to be, you know, out of the weather. This is my day bag. In here I've got all the things that I might need to get to from inside the canoe, and all my kind of lunch stuff is in here. So the first thing is a tarp, just being able to get up a quick shelter for lunch stops, or even when we get to camp, just get a tarp up quickly. You know, that just needs to be handy. This is a DD Superlight 3x2.9 tarp with all of my guy lines attached, so I can just pull it out. It's easy to deploy, don't have to think about it, and it's in a dry bag, so when I put it away soaking wet, it doesn't make everything else soaking wet in my bag. I'll also keep my lunch in my day bag. This is just an example of the sort of thing I'd have. So this is a noodles with fish, jerky, flapjack and a drink, and they're all vacuum sealed in a bag, so I can just grab them in the morning before we set off out of my canoe barrel where I keep all my food, grab the lunch for that day, pack it in here, and it's all ready and they're ready to go. I'll also have some snacks in my day bag. This little bag here has got my toilet kit in. So I've got pocket tissues, I've got a trowel for digging a cat hole, and somewhere in here I've got a lighter so I can burn my toilet paper. Dig a hole, do my business, put the toilet paper in and burn it, and then bury it. I've got a Tranger burner in here. It's just a methylated spirit burner and a bottle of fuel. So these will just stay in my day bag. I have a much bigger bottle for general camp use. This bag here has got my water bottle and cook kit in. So I've got a stainless steel water bottle there, for obviously for drinks and things during the day, and I've got a cup so I can boil water for my lunch and make hot drinks, and I've got a small collapsible cup in the front here. I've got a spoon, I've got a small pocket stove which will take my Tranger burner. That's made by the same people that do the honey stove backpacking light. I've got the lid for my cup, and I've got a fire steel for lighting my stove. And last thing in my day bag is my first aid kit. Always want to make sure this is easy to get hold of. This is a fairly comprehensive first aid kit. I've got pretty much everything in here that I think I would need to get us out of a muddle in an emergency. You know, we've all got mobile phones. We can always call the emergency services if it's anything too serious. But just for those general sort of like camp-related injuries, I'm hoping I'd have enough in here to, you know, to see us out of a muddle. So in the top part of my first aid kit here, I've got heat pads just to get warmed up. If, you know, if one of us ends up in the lock, it's going to be cold. You're going to need warming back up. So heat pads and a survival blanket. I've got some medication in here, so I've got ibuprofen and I've got paracetamol. I've got burn gels in here. I've got my Swiss card here, which has got scissors and tweezers and things like that, really useful. I've got a mirror for picking things out of my eyeballs. This section here is all to do with bleeding, so I've got antiseptic cream, I've got loads of bandages and plasters, I've got a sanitary tampon there, which is great for deep cuts, deep wounds, and just absorbing blood. I've got wound seal, which is a coagulant. Yeah, bandages. I've got super glue in there, which is also useful for cuts. So that's that section. And then down the bottom here, I've got things like gloves, so, you know, sterile gloves and bits and pieces like that. I've also got a military trauma bandage here for any serious cuts. Hopefully nothing like that will happen, but there's a few of us. We're going to have knives. There's going to be the odd axe about, I'm sure, for processing firewood. The potential for nasty injuries is there, definitely. So having a trauma wound dressing is always a good idea in my mind. And I've got a tourniquet. Hopefully I'll never need to use this, but if somebody cuts themselves really badly and are bleeding out, this might just save their life. Okay, this is the first of 2 barrels that I'm taking. This one contains all of my camp kitchen and other sort of camp related items. These are waterproof canoe barrels. They've got a seal in the top here, so if they do end up bobbing about in the lock, hopefully water won't get in, or not much anyway. So in the top of the barrel here, I've got a bottle of water, a litre of water. I'm going to take a filter with me, and I'll show you that in a minute. But in the morning before I set off, I'm going to filter 2 litres of water, 1 to go in my day bag and 1 to go straight in the top of this bag, so it's just there and ready when we get to camp. I've got water straight away. This bag contains my brew kit. So in here I've got a can of coffee. This is from Mr. Fox Fine Foods, a nice gourmet coffee from Dorset. That should keep me going nicely on the trip. Looking forward to that. I've got sugar. I've got a load of individual milk portions here. I like to have milk in my tea. It's just UHT milk, but it's fine in tea, to be honest. And then I've got a bag of goodies here. There's all sorts in here. I've got hot fruit drinks, I've got hot chocolates, I've got some sugar, I've got tea bags. This pouch here is really important. This is my midge kit. So in here I've got a head net. This just goes over your head. If you're wearing a wide brimmed hat, it keeps it off your face. This is one of 2 I'm taking. The other one is in my buoyancy aid. So yeah, that should hopefully keep the midges away from my face. And then I've got some thin gloves here to keep them off my hands. I've also got some various repellents in here that will hopefully work to keep them away. I've got some smidge. This stuff was developed in Scotland specifically for the midge, so hopefully that will work well. A lot of people swear by that. I've got some Jungle Formula insect repellent, and I've got some Swedish repellent as well. Not that I'm paranoid, you understand. This stuff worked well for me in Sweden, so I thought I would take it just as another option. And I've got some Nordic Summer. This is a sort of natural Swedish insect repellent, smells like wood smoke. Next out is my hygiene kit. In here I've got a microfiber towel for drying. I've got some deodorant, toothpaste, a collapsible toothbrush, and some wipes, just you know, antibacterial wipes. I've got my kitchen utensil roll, slimmed down for this trip with just the things in it that I need. So I've got a can opener, I've got an Opinel knife, peeler, some tongs, my eating spoon, another stirring spoon, a backup spoon and a spatula. I've got a small plastic bowl, chopping board, in here I've got my folding frying pan and my plates. I've got a campfire grill. This actually isn't the one I'm going to take, but I just wanted to have one to show you. Trevor from TJM Metalworks is making us a new one, bigger in stainless steel, that will fit perfectly inside this barrel, and it'll just provide a bigger platform so that we can all use it. You know, take lots of pots and pans on there, no problem. But it's the same sort of format, same style, just bigger. I've got my honey stove here. This will be my main camp stove for when I can't use an open fire. You know, if there's really bad weather and we're tent bound or something like that, then I can use this with a Trangia burner in the vestibule of my tent for heating water and cooking. The filter I'm taking is a First Need XL. This is a big brute of a filter, but it's fast and it's good, and it will make short work of filling up that 6-litre dromedary bag and my Nalgene bottles. This bag here has got my fire kit in, so I've got a load of Hammer tinder card in there. I've got my ferro rod, my big one, and I've got some fire plugs here, which are just a fire lighter with some lifeboat matches, just for those times when you need to get a fire going pronto. This bag here has got my lighting in, so I've got my good old Olight head torch here, the H1R Nova, brilliant torch this is, had it for a long time, absolutely love it. I've got a small Lumo hanging light, and I've got a bigger camp light here. This is also from Olight. It's the O bulb, great little things. These are waterproof, and they've got a magnetic hook so you can hang it up inside your tent. Different settings and stuff on there. There's a red setting, a strobe setting. There is one design flaw on these though, and that is that you can very easily turn them on accidentally in your pack. You know, it doesn't take a lot of pressure to turn that on. It's just a button on the bottom here. The whole bottom is a button basically, and there doesn't seem to be a way of locking it so it doesn't come on accidentally. So I found that a milk carton lid, just held on with a rubber band, just stops that from happening while it's in your bag. I've got my small forest axe from Gransforce. Brilliant axe this is, and it's nice and compact and packable. Knife wise, I'm going to take my Rob Evans bush tool. Love this knife. It's small and compact, but it's capable of just about anything you need it to do. I'm taking a Barco Laplander for processing firewood. I wanted to take one of my bigger saws, but I couldn't fit them in the barrel. They're just too long. So the Laplander it is. I've got a fuel bottle full of methylated spirits, so that's in addition to the smaller one that you saw in my day bag. I've got a 12cm zebra billy pot here. In here I've got my gloves for working around the fire, and they're wrapped around a small titanium cup here, which I'll use as my hot drink cup. And then this little bag that sits on the top here has got my washing up kit in. So I've got a piece of Scotch Brite pad here. I've got a coconut scraper, again good for sort of like chipping off those burnt on bits, and washing up liquid. And then the last thing in that barrel is my maintenance and repair kit. In here I've got duct tape, which I can use to fix so many different things, holes in jackets and tents, and I can patch up my hull. If I crack the fiberglass sheathing on my wooden boat, I can do a temporary field repair with some duct tape, very useful. I've got a DC4 sharpening stone here, so I can maintain the edge on my knife and on my axe. I've got some patches for my sleeping mat. I've got some patches for my canoe trolley. My canoe trolley's got pneumatic tyres, and if I get a puncture, I've got a means to repair that puncture and a pump to blow it back up again. In here I've got a load of spares. So I've got screws and nuts and bolts and washers and things. That's mainly for my canoe sailing rig. I've got a sail and a mast with me, and there's fixings and things. I've got a lee board which comes down the side. I've got various things that, you know, if I haven't got the hardware to repair them, then they're going to be useless. I've got a multi-tool here with screwdrivers and Allen keys and things, again for general repairs and maintenance. I've got a spare wing nut for my lee board in case I lose the big plastic one. And I've got a couple of spanners here for various bolts that I have on the canoe and on that sailing rig. I've got a sewing kit here with thread, needles inside, and safety pins, and I've got a load of cable ties because they've got loads of uses for repairs as well. Second barrel is food. Because we're going for several days, most of the food I'm taking will be shelf stable or freeze dried, but I have got a few bits of fresh food that I'm going to take for the first couple of days. In this pack here I've just got some bacon as an example. I've put it in a Reflectix pouch here that I've made up, and then when the bacon is gone I can use this as a cozy for my dehydrated meals while they're rehydrating. I'm going to take some bananas. They're a good source of energy. I've got some eggs which I'm going to transport in this carrier here. I've got 2 breakfasts that I'm going to have eggs with. I've got my spice kit with, you know, salt and pepper and various herbs and spices and things just to liven up my food a little bit. I've got some hot sauce, cooking oil. This bag here has just got a load of snacks in. So what I'll do each day is I'll pick something from out of here and put it in my day bag. And then I've got all of my meals, breakfast, lunch and dinner, all individually wrapped like this. So everything is in there that I need. This one here looks like corned beef hash. So I've got a packet of instant mash there. I've got a small tin of corned beef, a small tin of beans, some dried onions and waffles for dessert. So that's breakfast, lunch and dinner for 5 days, and that's how long we're hoping it's going to take us to paddle from Fort William to Inverness. But Scotland being Scotland, it's bound to throw some weather at us, and that may cause a delay. We may end up getting, you know, stuck in camp for a day while while we wait for weather to clear. And if that's the case, I needed to have an extra day's food. So I'm packing a 24-hour ration pack, and in here there are 3 meals and drinks and everything I need to last me a day. So that is my kind of like emergency food ration, and that's just going to live in the bottom of the canoe barrel amongst my beer. All of this kit here is to do with the canoe itself, for paddling and for sailing. I've got my baler, which is a cut down 5-litre petrol can with a sponge that lives inside it. So if I get water in the boat, I can scoop the water out with the baler and then mop up any dregs with the sponge. I've got carabiners and lines here for tethering my kit into the canoe, and I've got a rescue line. This bag here has my sail in, so I've got my mast, the boom and the spar, and the sail is attached to it and just wraps around it, so it's easy to set up even from inside the canoe. If we have a good tailwind, the sail's going to be really handy to help push us along and save some energy. We've got 4 sails with us. This one, 2 that Ginge has made with the Alzeimer's logo on, really cool, and Rick has a sail as well. So between us we should be able to raft together either in pairs or in 4s, and we'll be able to just buzz along. It'll be great. I've got my paddles, so I've got my main paddle here and a backup paddle which will just live in the front of the boat there in case this breaks or I lose it. This bag here has the main frame of my trolley in and my lee board. The bag doesn't really close when they're in there. These are just too long for the bag, but it's not to keep the water off them, it's really just to keep them together and to stop them from scratching the hull of my boat when I put them in. This bag has got the wheels for my trolley in and my lee board bracket. I've got my paddling clothes in this bag here. I've got dry trousers and a dry top rather than an all-in-one dry suit. That just means that if it's hot or when we're on the canal sections and I don't need to have the dry top on, I can just wear the dry trousers. So I've got a pair of Yak dry trousers here. They seal around the top. There's like a waist gaiter, if you like, which goes around here, and then it seals with my jacket. At the bottom of each trouser leg there's a latex gasket which seals around my ankle and stops water from getting in that way. My paddling jacket has the same system with that overlaying skirt system around the waist, and the same latex seals around the cuffs to seal against my arms, and around the neck it has a waterproof zip and a neoprene neck seal which just closes off like this and zips up. I like this jacket because it's also got a hood, so in really bad weather I can really batten down the hatches and get lots of protection from that wind and rain. On my feet I'll be wearing neoprene boots. These are also by Palm. They don't keep your feet dry, water does get in, but they keep your feet warm, and that's my preferred footwear for paddling. My buoyancy aid is a Nookie Ranger. Sadly these aren't made anymore, but I really like it. It's got lots of pockets. I keep my sunglasses in that side and various bits and pieces in this side that I want to get access to, attached to that little D-ring there, including one of my head nets. And then in this back pocket I keep my buffalo mitts. These are fibre pile and Pertex mittens, and they are the only solution for cold hands for me. Finally, camera gear. I've got a waterproof case here that I keep my DSLR in, which I'm filming on now. It's got a seal that goes around a gasket, so when that's locked down, no water's getting in there at all. On top of that I've got bungee cords, so I can keep my map attached. In front here I've got various attachments for my GoPro. In this BDH canister I've got various other camera related bits and pieces. My night light lives in there, my video light for filming at night, and it's got different filters on it. I've got a spare microphone. This little bag in here has got all of my camera battery chargers. And then in here I've got all my charging cables for my phone, for my head torch, for camera batteries, and I've got two power banks, a 24,000 milliamp hour and a 26,000 milliamp hour, so that should give me plenty of juice for charging up camera batteries, keeping my phone charged, my video light, well, everything. So that's all the gear I'm taking with me to Scotland. Hopefully I've made the right choices, but we'll see. For those of you who are interested, Richard has set up a tracker so you can monitor our progress as we paddle along. I'll put a link in the description box below, but it won't be live until the morning of the 15th when we set off, so don't click on it before then. And finally, I'd just like to say a huge thank you to everybody who's donated. As you know, this is a sponsored trip in aid of the Alzeimer Society. I said in my last video I was hoping we'd hit £6,000. Well, we've gone well beyond 7, and to be honest, at this rate we might even hit 10. I also said that I'd take my hat off if we reach £6,000. Well, I will do, but you'll have to wait for the trip video for that. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in Scotland.